Hello, everyone. It feels so weird to not be like, Happy Women's History Month, Happy Black History Month, Happy National Poetry Month. In May, there ain't nothing in there. But next month is Black Music Month, so stay tuned for that. And speaking of poetry, as always, obligatory self promotion. What if I ruled the world? Poems inspired by music, written by me, your boy. Always in the description, always in the link tree. Check it out. You know how I was like, oh, I feel so motivated to write. Guess who did not? But I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna write my synopses and I'm gonna push myself because it's been 2 years since I published that book. So yeah. And today we're here to talk about another book by Zane called Addicted. And I'm gonna talk about Zane and give you all her background as well. So the genre is erotica, romance, dark. I'm not saying there wasn't erotica, but I don't think it should have. I get it because Zane is notoriously, you know, an erotic writer. But I feel like yes, that was one of the main points. Was the main character does have a sex addiction, and there were erotic parts that were not filled with guilt, like with her own husband and stuff. But I don't know if I put it 100% that, but it's still a part of it. So yeah, it's written by Zane. So we're going to go over her biography. Her Zane is a pen name. Her name is Christina LaFin Roberts. She was born in 1966 or 1967. No date. That's all Wikipedia has. I probably should have went on her website. She's an American author of erotic fiction novels. She's best known for her novel Addicted, which we're going to talk about today. She grew up in Washington, D.C., a DMV girl, and Silver Spring, Maryland. So the D and the M. Her father, I cannot read, Dedis Roberts, was an influential theologian and author, and her mother, Elizabeth Caldwell Roberts, was an elementary school teacher. So that's cool mix. Roberts attended Spelman A in Atlanta for 1 year, then moved to Howard University to major in chemical engineering. She did not graduate. That's a big jump. That's a lot. So you were in for chemical engineering, and then now you're a writer. I feel like that's a very interesting jump. In 1997, she began writing erotic stories to pass the time after her children went to bed. She was living in North Carolina and working as a sales representative. The stories developed a following on the internet, and she self-published the Sex Chronicles before landing a deal with Simon and Schuster. Zane is the publisher of. Oh wait, I think I skipped something. Oh no, I'm still here. Zane is the publisher of Strebar Books, now a trio books at Simon and Schuster, where she publishes 30 to 60 books a year by other authors. That's nice. Her work was the basis for the Cinemax program Zane's Sex Chronicles, a subsequent project. Zane's The Jump Off premiered March 29th, 2013 on Cinemax, which I wonder if Cinemax is still a thing. I feel like it's probably not. The first feature film based on her works, Addicted, was released by Lionsgate on October 10th, 2014, the day before my birthday. I actually did not watch it. I thought about it, but I feel like when I read the Wikipedia, it seemed like they changed a lot, but I will probably watch it one day just because I'm so curious. In 2014, she was cited by Comptroller of Maryland, Peter Franchak, as one of Maryland's top tax sheets. So she had some little tax issues. She had to file for bankruptcy. Her work is mentioned in the socialist Shane Lee's book Erotic Revolutionaries, Black Women, Sexuality, and Popular Culture. Oh, I should read that one. In it, Lee discusses Zane's work as an example of urban fiction that helps create safe spaces for Black female characters to explore lust and embark upon sexual experimentation, which is a very good point. So that's what I got on her biography. This book was released January 1998. I think I saw one day say January 1st, but it didn't really have a date, like a day. So the synopsis is: for successful African American businesswoman Zoe Reynard, finding pleasure she wants the way she wants it is not worth the risk of losing everything she has. Marriage to a man she has loved since childhood, a thriving company, and 3 wonderful children. But Zoe feels helpless in the grip of an overpowering addiction to sex. Finding a therapist, Zoe finally summons the courage to tell her story. A tale of guilt and desire, as shocking it's as it is compelling. From these sensitive from the sensitive artist with whom she spends stolen hours as on rumpled sheets to the rough and violent man who draws her towards destruction, Zoe is desperately seeking fulfillment and something darker. As her life spins out of control and her sexual escapades carry her toward a dangerous choice, Zoe races against time to uncover the source of her fatal attraction. So, I thought this was gonna be straight up smut, and it was a lot of twists and turns. So I just like that. Um, but yeah, I'm gonna go over my pros and my cons and my overall opinion. So my first pro is the story. Like I really just thought it was gonna be just smut. I thought she was gonna be a single woman just, doing her thing. But it was actually really in depth. Like we got the whole backstory of her, and I think his name is Jason, her husband. Her and Jason from when they first met to them falling in love to he's an engineer, which I wonder if she got that from her chemical engineer, but he's like a building engineer actually. He's an engineer from him starting his own firm to her starting her own business. He's like an art collector, and she helps people sell their art and stuff. So that was really cool. And yeah, you just get all these twists and turns, and there are a lot of twists and turns because, like, there's crazy. There's a couple murders. Spoiler alert. Which I didn't think I would, have in this book. That seems a little crazy. There's a lot of, one of the lovers is violent, but then you find out the one you thought was the really violent one, um, is a kind of a red herring. But he's not like he's still not like very good character, but at the same time, there is like a bit of a red herring for him. And then you learn about, she has all these lovers, which, is a lot going on. And I love the therapist character, and I forgot what her name was. Oh my goodness. But she has a therapist character, and she's really helpful, and she's really wants to help her, but she also doesn't know like if she's at the capacity, but she does give her recommendations, for her sexual addiction. And speaking of the characters, um, I really love Jason as a character. Of course, there are some moments, when everything comes out where he's like not nice, but in that moment, I wouldn't be nice either. You know what I mean? Find out you're cheating, finding out all this stuff. If something happens with the husband and one of the lovers, so it's like it's a little crazy. But knowing their love story and stuff was really nice. But I do like his character, and then after something traumatic, there's like a few traumatic things, but something traumatic happens. And then there's some work to be done about reconciliation wise. I love the best friend character, Brina. Although she was in a tragic situation. She had an abusive boyfriend, and Zoe's trying to help her out, and you know that ends very crazy. Um, who are the other characters? I feel like she only had like one friend, Zoe, in the whole story. And I was like, girl, you ain't make no more friends. But anyway, it is what it is. Um, you know, the lovers, I think they all had interesting backstories, except one of them was kind of underutilized, and then one of them had like a character-ish change. But now that I think about it, I don't know if that was that surprising. But I'm gonna try not to spoil too much. But yeah, I think all the characters were good. Her mom being there was, a good touch. Her parents and their roles in Jason's life because Jason's dad was working all the time. So Zoe's dad was like a second dad to him, that could do stuff with him because his dad was working. Just those kind of thing. Those kind of characters were like really,